meeting to order.
I just did.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hate these crowded meetings. Can I get a motion to seal the minutes?
Yes.
You got it?
Yep. Make a motion to seal the non-public meeting minutes from today. Because it is determined that divulgence of this information likely would affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of this board.
Second.
Motion by Scott, second by Don, to seal the minutes of tonight's
Indefinitely.
There you
non-public session. All those in favor?
go. Aye.
Opposed? All right, non-public meeting and public meeting minutes of August 1st, 2024.
I'll make a motion to accept the non-public and public meeting minutes of August 1st, 2024.
Second.
Okay, motion by Don, second by Scott. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I make a motion to accept the consent agenda for 8/15/24, consisting of accounts payable manifest dated 8/6/24, accounts payment manifest dated 8/13/24, payroll payment manifest dated 8/15/24, and transfer between funds from the town's general funds to the ambulance revolving fund in the amount of $60,000.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Don, second by Scott to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Just to tell you really quick, I
Aye.
added number 4, it wasn't in your packet last night. I had it and should have had it in there, so it's just, we have a warrant article that we're supposed to transfer the first $60,000 of ambulance receipts.
Receipts.
So we're taking care of that now.
Okay.
Very good.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, let's see, I don't see the superintendent.
No, he emailed this afternoon, he came back from the Westford bound trip and he is sick. So we're rescheduling him for sometime in September, and I'll let you, you'll know when, we'll make sure he's on the
All
agenda
right,
again.
Highway Department job description.
That is under number 5 in your folders. What we did was mainly take out, nothing really changed, we changed it, we did take out anything related to the transfer station, anything related to supervision of the transfer station. We left in, and coordinating, use of the space, coordinating the equipment, coordinating coverage if needed, because the highway department may still have to cover for the transfer station when they're short-staffed. And those are mainly what's left in there. I don't know if you have any questions. That was the original job description. That's the only thing.
Let's take a couple of minutes and read through it.
Yeah. Sorry.
skills, there's still a reference to transfer station maintenance methods, materials.
Yeah, we left it in there because he would.
Was left on purpose? Okay.
Yeah, that one we left because we felt that if,
Okay.
he would have to have a general knowledge of it to cover, to share the space, the equipment, if
Got it.
anything came up.
Want to make sure that was on purpose.
Yeah.
It looked as an, and it looked like an on purpose.
Is there someone that's responsible for the streetlights? Right, that would fall under,
Street lighting,
yeah.
depends on which downtown, street lighting, if it's out, the reports go to the police department and they file. We have control over, Ashley has a access, we need training, but Ashley has control over changing the programming, but we aren't doing that because they've set the programming for us.
Mhm.
The downtown lighting is a little different, that would have to.
Should we have it in here though, like if there's light out?
They don't replace them.
No, but they should have some knowledge of if a citizen is gonna file a complaint, right?
But yeah, we have a foreman that goes to the PD, and downtown lights are good, we have to hire someone.
Right.
So yeah, we could put it there.
Because it's not under roads, like tree removal, I thought it would go into that line if there's an issue with downtown light, or just lighting and street lighting in general.
Maybe overseas.
It says coordinates or complaints, receives and investigates complaints of residents regarding tree removal and repair, bad road conditions, a street sign replacement, dispatch crews as warranted. So maybe within that line, or just do one below it.
Yep, so we could say the same thing, receives and investigates complaints of street lighting,
Yeah.
issues with street lighting or something like that. Are you all good with that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Under plans, prepares, administers, and annual budget, blah, blah, blah. Maybe just some verbiage, and you guys tell me if this isn't necessary. Some verbiage about CIP in that. Or assisting with,
Because they have to meet with the CIP committee.
I think it should be in there. Maybe a second sentence that says plans and prepares, materials for capital improvements program,
Yeah.
or something like that.
Although, do they really, yeah, they would have to bring suggestions to them, right? Is that how it works, Don? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the best
Maybe
verbiage.
prepares and updates the capital improvements committee.
Mhm.
Or just works with them, meets with them.
How about, coordinates with the CIP committee to plan long-term capital expenditures.
or communicates needs of department to plan.
There we go.
Yeah.
Communicates needs of
Yeah.
the department to the CIP for capital equipment. That works.
So instead of assist volunteer groups as needed, maybe something like, serves as liaison to coordinate with volunteer groups.
Because, yeah, he's not the one actually doing
physical work.
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah, serves as a liaison with volunteer groups.
We would have.
What's that?
And take out as needed, just serves as liaison.
As needed.
Oh, I guess, do you want to be more specific of volunteer groups or just volunteer groups?
I just want to say volunteer groups, but something in there about assisting with logistics as far as, because there's materials that have to be provided, there's equipment that's used in concert with volunteer groups.
So how about serves as liaison to volunteer groups and assist with logistics as needed?
Sure. And the only other thing I want to see in there is something about
Maybe, go ahead.
so instead of meet with contractors and federal state agencies, serves as liaison with contractors in federal and state agencies.
Yep, got it.
And then under receives and investigates complaints of residents regarding tree removal or repair, bad road conditions.
I'd just take bad out, I would say road.
Just road conditions.
Or budding properties.
And just something to leave that open as far as, or any other issues that may arise, but in better words than that.
How about, road conditions, street sign replacement, or any other potential concerns?
Yes,
And then.
relative to,
Personal
Any,
property.
yeah,
any other relative
Yeah.
concerns.
coordinates with subcontractors, that, I guess, yeah, all right. I was gonna say it's kind of redundant, but.
Do you want it, we can take it out if you want.
No, I mean, because it's, the first one just mentions contractors in general, so doesn't hurt to leave it in there. On that, I think I'm good.
I'm going back to Don's original comment, maybe it should just be general knowledge of transfer station maintenance, methods, materials, and it doesn't, they don't have to be certified if they're only for coverage.
Right.
Yeah, and actually,
Yeah.
under major duties, I think it should specifically line out, or outline, something to do with cooperative working relationship with transfer station.
So
It says coordinates
does say
with transfer
Oh, yeah, okay.
Station
any
supervisor, any
use
coverage.
of space.
use, space, training, repairs, or maintenance.
So it's maybe.
Oh, I should probably put use, equipment.
How about maintains cooperative relationship with transfer station supervisor? Cooperative working relationship, yeah.
So it
And
would
also make sure use of equipment is covered.
Maintains cooperative working relationship with the transfer station supervisor with regard to
Yeah.
coverage, use of space, use of equipment,
Yep.
training, repairs, and/or maintenance.
There you go.
And I would put use of shared equipment.
Okay, got it. Anything else?
Please don't let us throw them back in our face a year from now.
Right.
That's not in my job description, I don't have to do it.
Right.
Well,
Well, you're not in the union.
Which we can change the job description at the following meeting after that comment is made, but.
Underperforms other related, I've seen it say, of the town administrator or select board, do you want me to, the last one? Performs other related duties as required by the town administrator or select board.
Yes.
Yeah. That gives authority.
Granted, I think it's implied, but.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Um,
Anything that is not.
So I don't think we can officially approve it until you do that, but
It's up to you, you can approve it, with,
As
as amended, and I have a
Okay.
signature page if you're okay, but otherwise we can,
you
I
don't
wanna
need,
post it.
you don't need it approved to post it.
No, well, no, I can just change it and post it.
Right, so you can post it and then just bring it to
Yeah.
us at the next meeting and we can
And
approve
do
it.
it that way,
Yep.
okay,
Yeah,
yep.
that works.
Beautiful. All right, moving on. Transfer station superintendent, if you want to take a minute to read that over.
So we didn't touch the lead attendant, I kind of left that job description alone in case it ever has to go, in case everything changes, but we did make, we added a few things, so I'll let you read it. This chair is making too much noise.
Under works with the fire department regarding maintaining and burning materials, I would say coordinates instead of works.
Coordinates, yep.
And
Did we want to put a similar CIP thing up with the budget?
Yep.
It says reviews and presents specification for long-term and short-term projects, maybe in with that.
Sorry, where are you, Don?
1, 2, 3, fourth bullet.
Got it. Reviews and present specifications for long and short-term projects.
Add in the CIP stuff that we
I guess it.
said for the other one.
Plans prepares, administers. We set it up above. Prepares, and administers the annual budget operating costs. Yep, okay.
Under prepares applications for available grants, I would put identifies and prepares. Identifies available grants and prepares applications. And that might not be a bad one to add in under highway.
Do you, oh, okay. Do you want it to say, identifies available opportunity, let me just read, opportunities for grants?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
And identifies available opportunities for grants and prepares applications with the approval of the select board.
And that's probably a good one to add in under highway as
Okay.
well.
Yes.
Do we want to add in anything that might you see happening down the road with the transfer station as far as recyclables and
There's something under the TA tonight.
hauling solid waste or anything like that?
Would that come under short and long-term projects?
Ask your question, I'm sorry, it was,
Yeah, do we want to add in something that'll happen, that may happen down the road long-term with recyclables and possibly, hauling the solid waste ourselves?
no, because it's not in,
We're not doing it, so we don't
we're
want
not
to
doing it, yeah.
We would
So,
just-
down the road.
We can
yeah.
edit.
Right now, we have, oh, do we have it on this one?
No, like I said, that'd be long-term projects, which we have a line in there for.
So,
We
I
should-
like,
Add something to.
I like
Go ahead.
the bullet about Phil's supervisor responsibilities in accordance with town policies, blah, 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 blah. I think that should also be under the highway department.
All right, wait,
Or is
code
it-
that one under major duties,
Yeah.
okay. I just realized that this doesn't have a all. It sort of does, it says.
It does at the
proposed-
beginning.
An all catch-all,
Yeah, the beginning parenthetical
Oh, yeah.
is the catch-all on this.
The
Oh,
essential
yeah.
functions and duties.
Listed are intended only as illustration. Is that on the,
no, but we should probably put another one.
that's a good one. That sort of takes the place of other stuff. Because it says, mission of specific statements and duties does not exclude them.
Yeah. Agree with that. Yeah, and I would, same thing with this here, we'll just approve it at the next meeting.
So the only thing tonight, if you could, because you don't meet until September 5th. So when we, there's a PAF.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we'll
Okay.
approve that tonight.
Yeah, if you could do that, and I'll explain why I changed the date. It says, when we talked about the outline of transitioning things, September 1st was the outline because that was the date that Mark was retiring. But it's in the middle of a payroll and I do not suggest changing in the middle of a payroll. So I put in August 26th, it's the start of the payroll, if you're okay with that.
Yep.
And
Before we go any further,
Yep.
technically, this should be discussed in non-public.
this part, you guys
Okay,
already
yeah,
agreed
so, but we
to.
can certainly,
Yeah.
as long as there's no discussion, we can,
Well,
Just the timing.
I guess the question would be, when we talked last, I don't know if Dawn was here, so this was based off of the approval to go forward with a change in title. An addition of a small amount of hours, which would then change one of the benefits.
Yep.
So if you're still on the same page, it's okay to say that, then
Yes.
if you're not, then we need to have an additional conversation.
so I would entertain a motion for the approval of this meeting.
You don't read all of that.
No,
Just the
PAF.
PAF.
I'll make a motion to approve PAF 24044.
Second.
Okay, motion by Scott to approve PF 24044, second by Don. All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
And for the public, we can announce that Chuck Cullen is his position is being changed from transfer station lead attendant to transfer station supervisor,
Yes.
effective August 26, 2024.
All right, let's move to
Temporary
temporary
alternative.
alternative duty policy.
You've seen this before because we had to push this through rather quickly when we were doing our Primex renewal because we didn't know that we had to have one. So since then, we did say that, so the Word document shows you the changes in red lines. I wanted you to be able to see that. Mainly, there was some wording here and there, some formatting, with one of the things that the department heads added was in the second paragraph, employees will maintain their normal rate of pay regardless of the temporary alternative duty assignment. It is true, you can't change their pay because they're on temporary alternative, so we wanted to put that in there. The other change, so some of it is just minor, changing title, cleaning it up, making the words a little bit better throughout the document. And then what we did at the bottom was to add transfer station, because highway and transfer station were combined when we started this document, and we're moving towards splitting the department. So we added transfer station. Those are the main changes. If you're okay with it, or if anything jumps out at you, please let me know. I do have a clean version, if you're okay with it, to approve and sign, but I'll let you look it over. And one of the other changes, as the top, we are working to label administrative policies, so that we can get those set up. We started setting it up on the website already. So if an employee needs to look, did I close it? If an employee needs to look up a policy, they can go right to it. The intent is to have them all listed out. So if you, on the website right now, it says personnel manual and administrative policies. There's not a lot of them on here yet, but you'll see there's your personnel manual that you've approved, and then the next two administrative policies that were approved so far, so.
I'll make a motion to approve administrative policy 17.1 effective revision effective today, temporary alternative duty program.
Second.
All right. Motion by Don, Scott, to approve the temporary alternative duty program. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I don't know how to save this sheet. So, on the next one, it's budget discussion. There's a document that got stuck in the Word folder labeled 08 budget. It should have been in your list here, so it's in the Word and other documents folder. There's a couple things that we need to go over, just because we want to close the loop, get the schedule set too. So the first thing, there is a schedule in your folders. The budget committee started with back in April. We've tweaked it and confirmed the dates. We've tried to confirm that all of the department heads are available when they're supposed to be, and we cleaned it up. The only thing so when we talked last, you wanted to meet for it would be 4 meetings for budget. I just wanted you to see what that would look like. If you look back on the front of your folders under 08 2025 budget committee schedule, there are 2 tabs. The first tab is, this computer is not. So the first tab is the budget committee schedule. The green, it has everything on here. There's the budget committee work sessions, the budget committee deadlines. Am I not?
No, the 08 2025 budget committee schedule is
Excel. It should, oh, you.
Yeah, it's Excel.
Okay, yeah.
Is that right?
Yes,
It's
that's-
not the Word doc.
No, sorry, the
Okay.
Word doc is a list of stuff I wanted to ask
All right.
you about.
So these are the dates where they're proposing to
Yeah.
do with us.
If you look at the second tab, it says tentative select board schedule. We haven't put that into the big one yet.
Gotcha.
This is your tentative schedule, so department heads have to have the budgets due to the finance office by September 20th, and we have to have it turned around and ready for you to look at each September 26th. I split everything by two, so they're in two meetings that you would have your presentation. The reason it's gonna be difficult to have a presentation during your regular meeting weeks, so this is what I thought you would try, but I wanted to make sure you thought it would be all right. What time would we wanna start work session meetings, and or do you wanna see it split up a little differently? We seem to be very busy in our regular meetings between non-publics and other stuff. So we're not going to have as much room to do presentations, but I thought we'd do it similar to how the budget committee does it. You get a presentation, then they vote on it. You get a presentation, then you vote on it, and that's how I tried to set the 4 weeks up, if you're okay with that. But
By presentation by the department head, you're saying?
yes, yeah. So they're split exactly down the middle. I had to adjust a couple of people who couldn't be on the certain dates. But you would hear highway, all of that, and then you give you time to digest what was presented to you. And then on the next meeting, which is a regular meeting, you'd have a work session at the beginning and review and approve the work session number 1 budgets. And you'd also have to, at that one, do your regional associations. And then vote on them, do any adjustments. Doesn't mean you can't come back and do more, but if that's what you want to do, but at least you have a chance to discuss them and cut whatever, if you're going to cut anything. And then October 10th would be a work session, again, just for budget, with all of those budgets being presented to you. And then your October 17th is your deadline. You'd have to review and approve all of work session number 2, and then any other sections you wanted to re-review and have a regular meeting.
We don't have to go down through and vote on each section, we just at the end
Right,
vote on it.
right.
Yeah, it's not as tedious as
So-
what the budget committee has to do.
Well, let me ask you this, what are you hearing so far from department heads as far as budget requests for this year?
Well, this is also on this list tonight to give you, we need recommendation for what you want to see from the department heads this year. We're already seeing some issues, like the beach. We're gonna have to go up because we have to repair a line, or replace a line. They can't get one more year out of the lines, is what they're saying. That's a $6,000 to $8,000 increase there.
The quote was 6,800.
Yeah, and then the computer budget, software's all gone up, computer costs have gone up. I have to add a backup now with the PD, so that budget may have to go up. That's just a couple things off the top of my head. But other than that, we had a very general discussion at the department head meeting. We didn't talk about where things were going yet, but they really are hoping to get some guidance on really what you want to see from them. Do you want them to stick to a no level funded budget somehow, or do you want them to only go up a certain amount of money, or a certain amount %? That's one of the things we have to talk about. Because they do need some guidance in order to make the September 20th deadline, to have the budget submitted.
Needs, not wants. I mean, we had a very substantial increase last year, so, yeah, I'd say let's tighten the reins this year.
I mean, if there are some projects that are needed, obviously, we can discuss them, but
So needs, not wants, tighten the reins as much as possible.
And identify areas that we can either save money or increase revenue.
You want to give them a not to exceed percentage?
Nope.
Some are not, I mean, obviously, you look at the beach budget, if it's a $7,000 increase because you have to, you can't use the lines anymore, that's gonna be hard to not exceed, so, but.
I hate percentages.
I don't
I was
like-
glad you said that.
Well, I don't like it, because if we say, well, nothing over 5%,
Yeah.
then everybody's gonna come to us
Come in
and
with
it's 5% over.
Exactly.
So,
If you say 3%, that's what the budget's going to come
Right.
in. Yep. That's
Okay.
exactly the way I feel, so thank you.
yeah.
So that answer's good. Let me go back to your schedule for a second. 5 o'clock on your work session nights? And
Yeah, because you're not
anticipate,
do any earlier than 5.
I can, yeah, I could do 4 if we
I
need
mean,
to.
I can occasionally do earlier.
If I plan it, if I plan for it,
my suggestion then, if you're okay with that, would be to do the work session, the ones that are followed by regular meetings, move that to 4, so it gives you time
Yeah.
to still have your non-publics and your regular meeting if needed. If you can do that. It would only be 2 nights, it would be October 3rd and October 17th, if you can do that,
To the 4 o'clock.
or 4 o'clock. But 5 o'clock on the other 2.
Yeah, I think what took a lot of time last year was the discussions we had over personnel.
Personnel.
Personnel,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
we went 9, right?
I'm not sorry I wasn't here with that, with you guys on that one. That had to be tough.
We had to go back and do it too.
you know, as far as that's concerned, I would expect, I'm not gonna say no increases, but, COLA at best.
so that's the next, so that's on the list too. The third thing, you've got the third thing to discuss is COLA, step, or both. Although a final decision is not required tonight, has been completed. It has to be completed during your review, because obviously we have to put something into the budget. I think that sometimes it's better while the department head is doing the budget to kind of know what you're suggesting.
Yeah, I mean, if people are due for a step increase, then,
So that, yeah, so everybody, the way the plan goes, everybody would get a step increase if they reach, depending on their evaluation.
Yeah.
But if you're not giving that step increase, that's about 3%. So if that's what you want to stick to, no COLA. 2022, you did, 2023, you did 1% COLA, 3% step. Then we did the complete overhaul of the wage scale, and that ended up being an average of about 11% with a 10% increase overall in the budget. That 10% was not just for payroll though.
Right.
But do you want to stick to just the potential step increase?
do you have that index in here?
I don't know if it's in your
A
folders.
while back, we had the hopes of a plan that you would do 2 years of merit increases, step
We don't
increases.
call them there anymore.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, this was the thought. You do 2 step increases and then you do a COLA. Just so that you're not maxing everybody out on the steps.
So,
And
and
you're keeping your whole wage scale.
the policy
Plus,
too requires that the finance officer look at the CPI index, and we look at the Northeast region, the New England region, and we provide you with that, what that is. Right,
That's what I'm
right
looking at right
now
now.
in June, it's about 3.8%.
So maybe we do a 1%.
1% COLA on that.
But in May, yeah,
It was
May
7.1%
and June, it's
COLA.
3.8, but it was average, it says the annual average from 2022 to 2023 was 2.9, and then May and June, it's 3.8. So it's hovering between 2.9 and 3.8,
Yeah.
so.
Like last year, we dropped 2 or 3 grades from the bottom, right? On the wage scale. So we did.
Because you're never gonna hire anybody at that rate.
I was just looking to see if the approved wage scale is in here, in one of your folders. It is in your April 11th folder, if you wanted to take a look at it.
You guys need to go ahead, but.
I don't know, I'm thinking as a starting point, the step increase with 1% increase on the entire scale.
I think that's generous.
And if we follow, the current policy is depending on what they score, your higher performers, that the recognition was that if you
When
scored
you get it.
70 or above, you got it on April 1st. If you scored 50 to 70, then you got it, but you didn't get it until June 1st. If you were below a 50, then you were supposed to be put on a personal improvement plan. Didn't mean you wouldn't get it, but you would not get it until you had come to whatever steps needed for the improvement.
So a merit increase.
It is sort of.
It's a different way of saying merit increase.
Yeah, it's a merit increase,
Well,
and that's,
So the
the
steps,
incentive part of the merit is when you start getting it.
so the steps are automatic technically. If you approve a step increase, that's an automatic thing. But when you get it was what was based off of merit.
Be
Whether
based
you
on
got it
merit.
on April 1st or June 1st, you're still getting it. But the merit part was to give them a little extra,
Yeah.
a couple months extra, I think.
Yeah.
That's why we didn't call it merit anymore. It was just timing.
Yeah.
We can change, and we could change the policy anytime too, so, as long as we do it before we do evaluations, so.
Yeah.
I just feel like it should be either you get it or you don't. And if you don't, then you're either performing or you're not.
And not give a little bump
Yeah.
from April 1st.
Right. So we either do it April 1st or we do it, was it June 1st or July 1st, whatever you were saying. And if you need to be put in your improvement plan, then you put it in your improvement plan, and you don't get it until you meet the qualifications of the improvement plan.
We can prepare the change, I can go over it with the department heads at the next department head meeting and update it.
Yeah, and see what their feedback is.
Yeah.
I'd like to know, I'd like to hear their feedback.
So,
whether it's-
yeah, oh yeah, before we make
Yes.
the change, yes, yeah. So no bump, it would just be either April or June. I mean, if you were June would give you a little bit more extra, but I don't know if you want to suggest that or see what the department heads think.
It's the department.
Okay,
Yeah, see if
leave the personal improvement in there.
yeah, definitely do the person,
But-
see if the April pay for being exceptional is,
Here's a question, what are your thoughts about, if you're on a personal improvement plan, do you get it? Right, or should you not get it if you're on a personal
You don't
improvement
get
plan
it
until you get improved?
Until you improve.
yeah, that part of it stays the
So
same.
you would have to think about score then, same
It's a
thing.
lot, it's a lot more objective than,
Yeah,
so just having two options is more objective,
yeah,
where that just opens up that, I like this person and not that
Yeah.
person thing more, when you start saying, oh, they get it in April, this one gets it in June. you know.
right. Are you comfortable with the personal improvement being anything under 50? So when you're
It's
looking at
another
the
thing I don't like
evaluation,
those days numbers.
Yeah, yeah, where do you draw the line that you need the personal improvement?
Right.
well, I can tell you what the scoring, if the computer would let me. I can tell you what so the scoring is on an evaluation, that might help.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's the same thing that we do for your evaluation.
Yeah, so what 9 and 10 is exceptional over, you do way over your, and then 8, 7 and 8 is still exceptional, you're above satisfactory, you're above standards. I don't have the exact wording in my head. And then 5 and 6 is you meet expectations.
Yeah.
So under 5, which averages to 50,
Yeah.
that's where you need some improvement. And if you're way below that, there's more that needs improvement, but, we've really not had anybody under 50.
That's a really low bar,
Yeah,
yeah.
so we'll leave that personal improvement,
yeah.
no increase until,
maybe a 90-day reevaluation or something, or whatever.
Okay. So,
Yeah, the object is to get people always working above,
Right, working up to,
up to standards.
so we were looking, there's a couple of things we were asking the board's input on changing in the budget, the detail. One, the budget committee had asked for this, which was to get rid of the cents. Just wanted to, I thought we would be all on board to get rid of the cents. So it wouldn't say $2,000.32 or $2,000.60. DRA and the MS 737 roundup, it often makes us off a little.
Yeah.
So
We should,
we would just round up and get rid of the cents
yes.
in our
as
system.
long as it's the CENTS, not the SE. Because that's where my mind went when you started to say it.
No common sense, no, the pennies.
Yes, we can get rid of that.
All right, the other question
Whole
came,
dollars.
this is from finance, and I had some discussions. She's asking is if we can combine same titles into one category. Is there a reason that we have, I'm gonna use PD as an example. Is there a reason that we have to have 4 patrol officers, 1, 2, 3, and 4 listed out, or can they be patrol officers, period, in one budget line? I don't remember what the reasons were that we listed every single
Who's
thing.
asking that?
Lindsay,
Okay.
yep. So, I don't know if there's a preference. We could do that with the firefighters, we could do that with equipment operators, or just leave each detail line. One of the things,
What's the pros and cons of each way?
I couldn't,
I think it's easier when you're booking general ledger. Right now, what's happening is every individual payroll gets booked to every individual line. So any kind of adjustments that you have to make have to go to to the lines.
So
and
just,
instead of one.
kind of to that point, is there any reason you wouldn't just put salaries all on
Well,
one line?
Well, that's the question.
full-time salary, part-time salary?
The only thing is that the public does like to
The
know
public.
what employees are making, and not necessarily by person what they're making, although sometimes they do, but by
Oh.
position. And they will ask, if you do bulk them all into one, like police chief, since we're using
Were you
police as
trying to
an
hide?
example. If you bulk police
Sure,
chief
okay.
and all of the staff on one, that does not work well.
The only place I see it becoming an issue is, so for instance, like, if you said with the PD, you have a patrol sergeant, you have a detective sergeant. So those
would stay separate, is what
are
she's.
because those are different
It just would
steps.
be straight patrol
So
officers.
then if you have fire department, you have a firefighter EMT basic, a firefighter EMT advanced,
Yeah,
and a firefighter paramedic. And then you have a captain paramedic,
yeah, I don't think it's as easy as it sounds. I think it would be better to leave those alone.
I mean,
But-
That's the
Are they-
direction I'm looking.
But
Are all patrol officers gonna be the same step? In the
They
same
don't need
grade?
to, they don't need to be though. If you
Different
combine.
experience levels.
Right, so that's what I'm saying, so maybe
Yeah.
that's why budgeting wise, this one's at, the salary's at this amount.
Yeah.
Right, you don't need to, I think for public, I think transparency is better to keep them as separate lines, but I did say I would bring this up.
Well, my other thought with it was, let's say hypothetically you put, to use PD again,
Yep,
you have a patrolman line. Next to patrolman, in parentheses, it's 5, as it is 5 patrolmen.
yes,
So the public knows, divide that number by 5.
But.
but it
that's
won't
not
be
a- that's what
divided
I'm
by
saying,
5.
Different grades.
It won't be
different
divided by
salary.
5 because some people.
Roughly.
Right, roughly.
So, yeah.
Right.
They're all on the same grade, but they are all on different steps.
Sure.
Depending on how long they've been here. So you could get a rough estimate. If you had $100,000 and you divide it by 5, you know that you're paying $20,000,
I
but,
mean, I've seen town reports where it literally lists by name,
yes.
employees by name and what they made that year. So I mean, ultimately, if the public wants that information, they're entitled.
I think on that one, that's the more I've thought about it, I think the transparency because of the public has put in right to know requests before,
Yeah.
asking what each position made.
Yep.
Just leave it the same as it is.
Okay.
Back in Pennsylvania, they had listed all the
I mean,
teachers'
it's,
salaries.
yeah,
In
so
the
there's no way to do that to make it easier from a payroll standpoint, but still show
Yeah.
transparency to the public.
No, I don't think so. I think it's gonna have to be book them to the lines. Some of what happened last year, and that is maybe some of what we're still cleaning up a little bit. Last year, when they changed job titles around, the former finance officer changed the job titles, moved people around, but never moved the budget with them. So you had patrol officer down here who was, when they got moved in order, and the money never got adjusted, and the bookings where they were being paid never got
To be
adjusted.
honest, I have a feeling if we were to do that, the budget committee would have a fit.
Yeah, no,
And that would just be the start of it. The public would have a second fit. Yeah. It would come in
Yeah.
waves.
So the detail, right, so that's just their base salary, that line, right, patrol officer line, that's just for the base salary, and then any details or overtime come from
overtime
the
comes-
other, a different line.
it
correct?
depends on what it is for too, but for the most part, yes, that's just their base salary, yeah. The second question was, I'm gonna jump around a little bit. Vehicles, budget committee had asked about this, I don't know if all budget committee was on, about combining the vehicles into one line. I know that one of the budgets I thought did it, but not all of them. And the concern when we talked to the department heads before was, we wanted to be able to see what kind of maintenance we put on a vehicle. There is in our system, we can create project tags behind the scenes, so say you have vehicle maintenance, this line, you can create project tags for each vehicle behind the scenes, so you can still know what you spent for maintenance on those vehicles. They would just be tagged behind the scenes, but all coming out of one vehicle maintenance. I don't know, I have sent an email out to the department heads again, just confirming if there were any other concerns.
How accessible are those tags?
The department heads will be able to run them at any time, any reports they needed, when they need them.
So let's say when the department comes to us for replacement of a vehicle, we can pull historical data.
He can, yeah. Well, he can, the way I understand it, we could test it. I swore one of them did it already. Was
I
it?
mean, PD is,
I
I
thought,
believe, all one line.
I thought it was, so what we can do is we can test it. We can go through and tag some of his vehicle maintenance now, and we can split it out and run a report and
As
say.
long as we can track it when we need to, I don't see an issue with it.
Do we get a lot of public requests for,
No.
we don't,
Well-
that's one line that they don't.
The CIP likes to know what you spent on maintenance, in that, as long as you can run the report, that's good. Budget committee was one of the ones who said that they could see us combining this line. I can certainly double check again that that was truly my memory is correct, that that's what they want.
So I can tell you, having been on the other side of this, when you're looking at budgeting for the following year, particularly, so I was involved with vehicle maintenance at the fire department, like, I needed that information to budget for the following year,
Right.
because there was a different, different vehicles require different, they're at different ages, they have different needs because of the type of equipment they are. So it's not, you're not just budgeting $2,000 a vehicle, there's some that are 8 and there's some that are 1,500,
Right.
So, as long as the departments are still able to have access to that stuff.
Okay, I got that one.
They needed to simplify it.
Yeah, and we're looking, so last year, or the year before, things got changed to match numbers. Then we started simplifying things, we combined all of their software and computer, that went to general government budget. You know, we tried to clean that up and organize that. So we're looking at different things to simplify it a little bit more, but not, we don't want to be non-transparent to anyone. That's not why we're doing it. We're just trying to clean it up. So, mileage is one of my questions. So we have mileage for everybody technically in the general government budget, except for library and water and sewer. So the concern I have is I don't know when the fire department's gonna send somebody to training next year. I don't know what kind of training. I don't know when assessing and land use might sign up for workshops. The policy would be, when we have a car available or other departments, you're supposed to use a town vehicle to go if you can, and if you can't, then you do get mileage paid out. One of the thoughts was to put instead of having a mileage line in the general government budget, because we're far exceeding what we budgeted because we didn't have a town vehicle, is to put all mileage for any training in the training line. So they bump their training line up in their individual budgets and pay for it that way. And we wouldn't have a line in the general government budget. It would just be every budget would pay for their own mileage in their training lines.
Is that, I mean, I can understand paying on mileage for required training, but not for optional training.
No, almost all of it is required training to do at their job. I don't think there's been optional training. But we are paying mileage for an enforcement officer because he's having to use his own personal vehicle.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But that normally wouldn't come out of a training line, and we wouldn't have to do it if we had the town vehicle, so.
Yeah, I think each department should budget for it.
Yeah, take it out of training.
And then the last question is about personnel, the increases. So does anybody remember why it moved? It's very hard to explain, you've been in budget committee meetings, to people when you have an increase in the budget lines, the employee lines, and then you have your increase, the actual increase that they're approving is now in the personnel lines, the way down in 4155, a different budget. So you're telling them that the increase that's in those lines isn't this year, it's last year's. But we're approving, for instance, the big adjustment of the wage scale, we had to explain why we had a $200,000 line for personnel, but we couldn't break it off into each department. It's just a bulk. Is there a reason that we switched to that, or could we switch back to increases being in each individual line? If there's steps, there should be, I'll clarify, but they should be 3%.
Trying to remember,
I wish Ben was here.
I'm trying to remember way
Is
back
he
when
the-
we changed it.
Would he know why we changed it?
I'd be willing to bet, he's
Okay.
probably the best resource for that.
I'll
for that
ask
Yeah,
question.
because I don't remember why. I remember doing it.
He knows that.
I'll ask him, and then I can come back, because it doesn't affect their budgets really, because that's a
Right.
number that comes from finance and us anyway. But,
You know how we could make that a totally moot point? Just go to a fiscal budget. But anyway,
But what-
that's
so-
a subject for a different.
so I'll talk to Ben to see if he remembers why, but, so if we don't see any reason that it needs to be in the personnel budget instead of each individual lines, what are your thoughts about putting them back?
I would prefer to have it in the original lines unless there's a reason
I'll find that
for
out.
it.
Unless there's a
There
good
very
reason
well may be.
why we
Right.
did that. Yeah.
So, and the
I
second.
really don't remember.
Second part of that is, obviously, there wasn't a reason, and we decided to do this year is going to be hard to, if you put this year, the increases from 24 that were approved, and you
Yeah.
put the next year's increases, it's gonna look a lot worse. So our suggestion would be to do budget transfer, and we transfer the money from the personnel budget back to each individual line. You would do it in a public meeting, so you know
Yeah.
exactly what you're transferring by line. And so, say it was 50,000 that was in the budget, you'd transfer 10,000 if it needed to be to cover that line. 60,000 is what was budgeted, 60,000 is what was spent, and the personnel line won't be 200,000 anymore. It would be whatever money we transferred out.
And somebody needs to be able to articulate that
Yes.
better than I can.
Yeah,
Yes, I'm just,
I'm 90% sure that, I'm remembering what it is, it was when we were gonna start doing merit raises.
oh,
Because not everybody would get it.
the same.
So you couldn't put it in all the lines because it wasn't a guarantee that they were gonna get it. That's why we put
So you could
lump of it
say-
in there,
Yep.
and it would be divvied out depending on whether you received a merit or not.
So we're not.
Pretty sure that's why we did it.
That makes sense, because
But
you
we're
couldn't
not-
budget 3% for everybody if they were only gonna get
Right.
1% here
Yeah, right.
and 3%
Because
there.
it used to always be, basically everybody got a COLA, you know, everybody
Right.
got, $1 an hour.
So if you put somebody on an improvement plan and they don't get that raise, then the money's in the budget, but they're not getting it.
Right, so you just
Yes.
over budgeted it.
But
That's-
You're
you're
over
still-
budgeting,
But
which
you're
I,
still budgeting that in the personnel line.
and not that I wanna over budget, but,
Right.
you know, if you, especially when it comes to particularly PD and fire with overtime budgets,
Yeah,
probably a good thing, so.
Yeah,
right, so if that is the only reason, I'll just talk to Ben to make sure.
ask him if that's the reason, I'm pretty sure
I
that's
have
what
a
it is.
feeling that is
Yep.
now, but,
After thinking about it a little bit, I'm pretty sure that's why we did it that way.
so is your general consensus, then it goes back to the line, and then if we can show you what it would look like if we do the transfers. I'm afraid that if you don't do the transfers,
It's gonna be,
you're gonna have a 15-20% increase for someone, and no, that's not all this year.
Yeah.
Well, it's easier to have the budget transfers done and you're showing a true increase for next year,
Yeah.
so. But
yes.
God's looking at me like
So-
I'm crazy.
No, so the comparison is correct, yep,
Yep,
no, that's correct. That's,
ask Ben, and I'll bring that back to your September 5th meeting, just because
Yep.
then we
Yeah.
can get that ready after.
and actually, it'll look like it won't look as bad because you're really only adding 3% for half the year
Right.
Right.
to the increases.
Yeah.
And your
So it's
person,
gonna-
your.
So the salaries are gonna go up 1.5%, not 3, even though you give them a 3% raise.
And that personnel line is going to drop
To zero.
a $0 or $1, whatever you decide, zero
Just get rid of
probably,
it.
and
We'll just
that'll
get rid
be
of
better.
that.
Everything's in the budget.
Speaking of getting rid of lines,
No.
forestry.
Yeah, did we find out though if we needed any forestry to have any grants?
Check with Ben.
And that's the one thing we hadn't done
I
yet.
don't believe so, but check with him to be sure.
So one of the things we'd like to do if we can is eliminate forestry completely.
Can you just put a forestry grant line in the fire department budget?
For $1.
That's a,
Why can't you just put a forestry line in the fire department?
Yeah, just a
budget?
forestry line in,
Just a general
just a single
forestry.
forestry line in and spend out of
yeah,
it.
because it's not a separate department, it is part of the fire department.
Right, makes sense.
Yeah. And that's why that's been a sticking point for me for years.
I think that covers everything for
There
budget.
is state funding that comes in,
Right,
potentially federal funding that would come into play.
If anything else jumps out at you about budget, let us know and we'll look at it as well too. We're slowly making changes each year that,
No, it should be fairly straightforward, and, if we do our job correctly, then it shouldn't be much work for the budget committee, and they shouldn't need to make any cuts, so that's, my intention is to put forth a quality product before they even.
before they even start,
Yeah,
that always bothered me.
yeah.
Getting it done before the budget committee starts is the correct way to do it.
Yeah, but it's, well, I'm not gonna offer my personal opinion on the process.
okay. I'm done, I think, on budget unless you have anything else that you can think of for.
No, I don't
budget
think so. I
schedule.
mean, like I was saying, the taxpayers stepped up last year,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
I don't think we have any major capital purchases we're looking at.
Just
So,
the normal.
just the normal, CIP and
Yeah, that's
Um,
looking pretty routine.
Yeah.
There's a couple of questions about whether,
Oh.
so I'm going to, I am going to develop hopefully in the next week, I'll develop a warrant article schedule as well, because I don't want to, we didn't do it, but I don't want any kind of appearance that we're holding anything back or hiding anything.
No,
Put
it's-
a proposed one together a while, yeah.
And so,
There's no reason
well,
not to.
their deadline, I'm gonna do a schedule, but, and I can start to do a proposed warrant now.
Just
But
do
their
it.
deadline to see our draft warrant articles is, where am I? So the first is January 28th. So review revenues, review draft warrant. So means we should get moving, obviously, and start talking about that
Yeah,
pretty
I mean,
shortly.
as far as potentials for right now, it's, you know, the small stuff, it's the fireworks, it's
Just all
the,
the usual stuff,
it's the,
yeah. Contingency,
contingency fund,
the budget.
yeah, the trees,
Yes.
which I actually spoke with Belknap the other
I
day on.
emailed them, but what I needed additional from them.
Oh, you needed, okay, I didn't
And
realize.
then I emailed with, this is off subject, but I did email with, Beano's and asked them for their
Oh.
quote
Okay,
on stump grinding.
yeah,
And then I had to get one more, and I think and it was supposed to be from Bridgewater, correct? The other stump grinding quote?
The capital fund.
oh, area,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep. I couldn't remember the name.
yeah.
So we're still working on that, but go ahead.
The capital fund.
Capital funding, the warrant, capital reserve funding.
Yeah.
There, I will put a bug out on capital reserve funding. There has been, a suggestion, since we're splitting transfer station and highway, that we create a transfer station capital reserve, but there is a transfer station revolving fund, so I was gonna do some research to see if we could use that instead.
Yep.
Because I know you have a different suggestion, but we don't have to talk about that tonight. And then, technology, if the capital reserve, it's getting more expensive every year to replace or even remediate certain things. Obviously, we had a huge bill this year on the network overhaul, so.
Well, pretty much, pretty soon it's gonna just be AI taking your job and all that, so. Just sitting
So
here.
you mean I need to start thinking of retiring? No.
So while we're talking capital reserves, also, Deb and I had a discussion about the
Oh,
beach
yes, beaches.
And beach. Thought it might be a good opportunity to start a reserve fund, and we can look at increasing the beach permit and put that money into, that increased money into a fund to help pay for maintenance at lines, dock lines, maybe a
That's
piece
true.
of equipment to help them with cleaning the beaches up. As that John Deere we have in the shed at Kelly Park, that's too big to transport on the trailer we have, correct?
Yeah.
To York
it's
Rake,
not
to York Rake.
something you're gonna have them run down there.
No, so, I thought maybe, you know, at least, and then maybe we have that fund set up, and then maybe we look at doing other work.
If you're going
Yeah.
to do anything like that, you may want to make it not just beaches, but we have the park, but it's only Kelly Park. And we have all these other parks now, maybe it should be a combination of something like that. We have the building fund, town building maintenance fund, that's
Right.
buildings.
All buildings.
though.
That's,
So-
That's a
that's
good
something
idea.
that needs to be, you know, it needs to be handled, so this Kelly Park person, that's gonna kind of fall under that next year, right, or needs to fall under that, maybe we have,
Beaches,
right, so
Yeah, the
maybe we have a
person, yeah.
person that can
Increase the hours.
increase the hours, that can operate one of the one-ton dump trucks and load up a tractor and take it down.
So Trevor's already there, well, Trevor was doing it this week, I just happened to see him, but I mean, he's got the truck with the mower down at Cummings.
Right.
So, but I don't think we
He
can put a
mows,
York
but-
rake on the mower
No,
that we
you can't.
have. So I was thinking, maybe we look at other alternatives for a small York rate to,
Yeah,
because-
I agree, I would like to see, particularly Avery Cross gets a lot of debris on it.
yep,
You know,
and rate this section at a time, and then we get storm, and then,
but the problem with
Do you
asking
mean?
beaches to do that is that's just gonna be disposed of too.
so that's why I was thinking a smaller, commercial style truck with a little front end loader, a mini one.
Yeah.
Something that would, size it, but,
We may need to also think about, obviously, Big Catch is up for sale. So we have a porta potty, depending on what goes there, they may not want our porta potty there. We don't have a good location for a bathroom. So that's something that's gotta be resolved too. I don't know how on Avery Grouse, so.
Yeah.
Well, there's the improvements we want to do along the wall and stuff like that.
That too.
So,
Yeah, there's still a bunch of improvements in Commons Beach that was never finished. There was a
Right.
whole nice plan and we didn't complete it, but,
right.
so that's also
Maybe-
good. So,
Maybe,
I'm sure
down
somebody
the
across the
road,
street will look.
So-
maybe down the road, we have we combine, parks and beaches into one big fund and.
I mean, as of for this year, Deb said we've, let me get the email, while we're talking about it. Deb TV,
I had to follow up with Scott. Scott had raised a concern, and Deb and her crew worked on it, and I said, just follow up with Scott and let him know. But that's really a select board item.
she gave like the balance on the, she said the beach passes sales have increased this year.
Yeah, Raymond said she ran out of stickers.
Yeah, they ran out of stickers, so they're using smaller cards.
We've sold less trust permits. So I wondered if the trust people are doing something different because of the cost of the trust. But
So it's roughly, just under $16,000 worth of beach passes
yeah,
in revenue.
and we're still selling, so.
Nice.
I don't have your breakdown for you totally. We do have a breakdown, but I'm gonna wait when we do the beach closeout. When we do the beach closeout, we have a couple of things we need to change. We know on the ordinance, minor things, and then we can talk about other stuff too.
But beach revenue, does that go into just the general fund
Yep.
to offset
Well,
salaries?
So there are
Yeah.
members of the budget committee who believe that the revenues were supposed to offset the cost of the beach budget completely. And that's not possible, and we've talked to them about that, and that was not the intent at the
Yeah, that
time.
was never the intent.
So, because the beach budget has gone up, well, it's cost more for us to put the lines in now, it costs more for us to replace the lines now. When I saw that quote for the lines, I was like,
Yeah.
They can't be
Replaceable.
repaired?
No, they're beyond repair.
we,
According to the-
so I would think these are 5 or 6 years old. But part of the problem is that they weren't taken care of,
Imagine that.
well, and maybe this person we're using now is doing a really phenomenal job. And maybe this person, that are taking care of them will prolong them, but because they weren't taken care of previously, we had to pull them off the shoreline and frozen in the ice, you're gonna damage them, so.
Were you gonna talk about the incident, was that in the TA report?
Did I put it in the T-Rex?
I don't.
Oh, I don't think I did, but we
So-
can.
Well,
All
let's
right,
move on.
let's move
No, while we're on the beaches.
Well, technically, we're on capital reserve.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, so you
Yeah,
have to say for select board.
All right,
Alright.
forget it.
TA report, you ready for me?
Mhm.
Oh, one more thing.
I did add some things not on your report, sorry, as I remembered them.
Well, highlights of the TA report.
Oh, cut it out.
I do like the new signs, the logos are.
I do,
the-
actually, I thought it would be
The
nice.
animals are,
I like
the loon and the
these.
bear are fantastic.
So here's,
I
so
don't like the deer.
here's
And
it,
the
wait,
Fishes.
you're stealing my thunder.
You don't like the stick figures?
So the town signs, I don't think that we updated, I'm not gonna put the picture up on the screen. But I don't think that we did update the board that they were in. If you've seen them, the ones on South Main Street going towards Hill and the one near Mid-State Health. The bear and the loon, I think they look great. They're up. So in a discussion that we had today, my thoughts are, why do we need the fish and why do we need the deer? Why can't they be bear and loon too? Bear coming in, because we're newfound bears, and the fish would be a loon instead, and those are our two signs. So,
That's fine.
Well, I don't, what's the matter with the fish and the deer? I mean,
the deer,
Deer is,
I've heard a lot of complaints
which one,
about
which
the
one is
deer
the
right
deer?
here.
out there, by R.P. Williams. There's people have
That's
joked
what
about
I'm-
putting a
You drive by.
red nose on the deer because
It looks like a cartoon figure.
that's what someone else said
Yeah.
today.
How can we get a better deer? I mean,
Do you want, I
Could do a better
could,
deer, but do we want to spend the money?
I can get a quote and see what it would cost.
A realistic.
I like the fish at the lake.
Yeah. Well, I like the loon idea of the
Small
lake
bass.
too, but
We could do a red-breasted merganser too. If you want to get technical about
I could
it.
do a woodpecker.
There you go.
So we'll leave it a fish, but we'll just see, well, I'll get a quote on repairing it.
Do
Um, What?
eagle?
Eagle would be, yeah.
Oh, an eagle would be
I was
nice.
against the whole changing them all, but anyhow, so I'm just gonna.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can we
If
change
you,
it back
if
to
you could get a
those?
better looking deer, more realistic deer, because that bear looks phenomenal, like, right?
I
Why
think-
can't they do that with
I
the
think they
deer?
did a nice job on these.
Yeah, the bear.
They did, one of the comments that they made when they let me know it was installed, was about the Rotary Club's awful sign. Sorry, Les, the Rotary Club puts up a sign and they put it on the post down below and it's a circle and it advertises the penny sales
Yeah.
coming up. And it's a round, old sign and
Oh, so we just need a new sign?
Well,
it's
a
their
Rotary,
sign.
it's theirs,
I don't
not
think
us.
we would pay for that, but.
No, but they could,
But it would be nice if they could.
so you're
update
suggesting
their
maybe
sign.
they review their sign?
Yeah. Um,
Let's talk to Les.
oh,
She doesn't have anything else to do.
and then I get the quote for repairing the lake, but those, I just wanted people, those signs are up, they look good. We didn't do the extra stuff on the side, we didn't do the bullets on the bottom that advertise all the other stuff. It's just those plain signs, so. Other town signage, we're still working on the next two signs, we're hoping to get those done this year. The Barbara Greenwood sign, so there may be a period of time, just so the board understands that we won't have a sign out here. And then my thoughts are is when we get it, we would probably cover it and do an unveiling with the family.
That's not how it's gonna be spelled on the sign. is it?
No. No, I just wrote,
Her name.
yeah, stop. This is the TA report.
I'm just asking.
She'd get a kick out of that.
Barbara.
Barbara.
Barbara. Barbara's my mother's name, you would think I wouldn't have done that. No, I think we said something about the Barbara Greenwood Town Office Building.
Okay.
So, and then what we're doing is taking this sign and covering the town office section, it'll say public safety, building, and we hope we're gonna move it over there.
Do we ask
temporarily.
Victor if we have the signpost for over there?
There, we do not. I didn't think we did. I thought when they took them out, they were broken, so we don't have them. So we may have to have just regular posts, wooden posts put in.
Until we
This
get
is
a-
just a temporary sign, just to get them through for a year or two,
Sure.
but so ACH transfers, so I know when we talked before, we didn't, the board didn't want to do where we pay bills through ACH transfers.
When was that decided?
Oh, I don't know how long ago, we talked about it, we said no, we would revisit it later, and we would take it on a case by case potentially. Two things. One, the New Hampshire Bond Bank has notified us as of January 1st, 2025, they will not accept anything but electronic payments. So we do retirement via electronic payments, and we do payroll, obviously, ACH direct deposits. So we just wanted you to know we are going to have to do the New Hampshire Bond Bank. while we're doing that, we are asking about WEX. With the fraudulent checks, that issue that we just had, WEX has a habit of those checks disappearing, and we have a way that we can pay them electronically, and we would only do WEX and the bond bank.
I remember this coming up, but I can't remember why we decided we didn't want to do ACH transfers.
I think when we talked, there was a lot of concern about the security, that the accounts could be changed. So I will tell you, one of the things we've put in place is no one can change a vendor anymore, except for Lindsay and I. If you can't change a vendor address, name, anything, it's just Lindsay and I that can do that. Before, anybody could have changed it, that had gotten to the system, and we've changed that.
Well, and I think now that we have a capable finance person in place, and it's not just you having to deal with this, and there's more oversight, there's two people instead of one, I think it'd be reasonable to revisit whether, because I think doing ACH transfers would probably make yours and her life a lot easier as
It
well.
would.
Yeah.
So we could start revisiting that. We can start with these two, see how this works, and see, because we did have another company that reached out to us. I think it was Bristol BP LLC, which is our solar, that wanted it, and we said no. So we could revisit it with them as well, as long as there's more oversight when we put if there's any change in account numbers, maybe it's a two-person verification.
Would it be the balance in our account be verified before it's drawn?
No.
Was that the other concern?
No, these would be pushed out, is what it's called. So I think maybe the concern was a Peterborough incident, that somebody, Peterborough, there was $2 million that was stolen from the town. What happened was, and I don't know all of it, but the details that I do know was that the town was notified to change an account number on an ACH payment. It seemed like a legitimate request. Obviously, they didn't catch there was anything wrong. They made the change, and no one caught that the payments were going for months to the wrong place. I mean, we had that happen with a direct deposit with an employee check as well, but we've put some precautions in place that we won't do that without the person coming in person now and filling out a form. There's always that chance that someone could try to change where you're sending an ACH payment to, but we can certainly put some precautions in place and limit it.
It's kind of the way of the future.
So we'll go forward with these two, see how things go, and get back to you. Penny Path update, we've been notified that the project was not approved for the congressional directed spending. I've let the Penny Path group know. I have reached out to Army Corps. I've not heard back from them. I was trying to get them in to do a work session with the board and the Penny Path committee so we can close the loop on this, whether it's MOU or partnership we're moving forward with. I haven't heard back, haven't scheduled that yet. The TD Bank project that they're working on, repointing, refacing, cleaning up the building on the bricks, they've got back to, the contractor is really, he's very good. He followed up with us after I contacted him. They are not going to be putting in the equipment until after Old Home Day. They decided to hold off. They didn't, so they wouldn't be putting in the big boom that's going to block the parking spaces until after Old Home Day. Hector Lane was the one we talked about last meeting about wanting to have the access to the right-of-way to install a leach field in part of the right-of-way. I did reach out to them. I did let them know under if you look in your TA report folder under TA Hector, that's the email I sent out with the concerns, letting them know that we weren't granting them permission to install it. The owner has been in, wants to appeal the decision. We're going to meet with him next week but he may be in to talk to the board to try to appeal your decision on the September 5th meeting.
Did anybody drive out there?
Yes.
Mark, Victor, both walked the area. We laid out the water line. Ethan went out and marked the water lines. All of those reasons I put in the email were everything that was discussed that were concerns. So, and the only response that the response I got at the time was that the water line, the exact locations of the water line have not been disclosed. They had been marked the day before I sent this email, and they may not have known that. So I reached back out to them to let them know that they were disclosed, they were marked out, and that I'm gonna meet with the property owner next week and left it at that, so. They said that, the reason they said that is, if I know exactly where the water lines are, I could firm up a leach field design and look into not impacting and probably improve the existing ditch line. And then it says, would you be able to ask the board if they would reconsider if I gave them a more firm location? In the conversation with the property owner today that they had with, he had a conversation with both Victor and Ashley. They're not relocating it. My understanding is they were still asking for the same spot. So I'll know more after next week. Fire department, Rob, do you want to give a public safety building update?
Sure. So we met this morning. The majority of the punch list items have been taken care of or are being taken care of. Chief Larash will be completing an additional walkthrough to ensure that those items on the punch list have been or are being taken care of. So the issue with the water line is being addressed, and Groen has been in touch with another contractor that is scheduled to take care of the problem. I think the first or second week of September.
16th.
Yeah.
A different contract?
Yes.
Yes.
Because of refusal?
Not necessarily refusing.
No, it just hasn't been taken care of, and I don't.
No response.
Yeah, there hasn't been a response from the initial contractor, and that it's being taken care of on Gruen's end. So, kind of the way we approached it when we met a couple weeks ago is I told Gruen, I kind of, told Rob, I said, this is your issue, you gotta deal with it. It's their responsibility, not the town's, so Gruen's doing what they have to do, and it's basically not the town's responsibility to take care of it, and it's being taken care of, so. Yeah. Other than that, thank you for everybody that did come out to the grand opening ceremony. That was pretty overwhelming attendance for that. I was talking to Jill down at Gillies, and she said there were cars parked all the way down there for it. So the crowd was about twice as big as I anticipated.
We filled the parking lot of the building, and we filled the parking lot that we were allowed to use across from the former Chinese restaurant was full.
Yeah.
So I think they parked everywhere they could.
Yeah. So that went very well. I know there's been some additional tours. The camp went down there yesterday, and the PD and the fire department gave tours to the kids from the camp, and so we appreciate them taking the time to do that for the community. So other than that, I don't think, am I missing anything?
We're, the only other things was the deadlines that PD and fire had.
Yep, so we did set a couple, not so much deadlines as we did
Yes.
goals. Goal number 1 is for the storage box outside here, to be moved and emptied and taken care of. I just said, hey, let's set a goal of the end of September, and the Chief Bean said that should be more than reasonable, and that he thought they'd have it done much sooner than that. The other discussion we had was relative to the old fire station. Pretty much everything needed operationally that's going to that building has been moved. We're waiting for the dumpster to be moved from the high school that was up there for hazardous waste day. Is gonna go back to there, so anything can be cleaned out of there. And basically, they're gonna do a rough cleanup, just sweep and make sure there's no debris or anything.
I did talk to Victor, he was gonna check on it, and I just said, just get it moved over there as soon as you can.
Yep.
Yep.
So, and again, we set a goal at the end of September for that, which, you know, I kind of said it to two of them, I said, is this reasonable? And they both agreed that that was more than enough time, so it's kind of giving them a little leeway too, because they're both emergency services and things get tied up. Sergeant Henry is working on finishing up the booking room. Now he's coming back from vacation. He's going to be working on finishing the construction of some of the counters and cabinets and such in the booking room once he's back from vacation. And there were a couple other minor things that were brought up by both of the chiefs that Rob from Bruin seems to be very on top of. So certainly nothing to be concerned with, I don't think.
What are they gonna do with that old power utility pole that's on the corner of the lot?
That's a good question.
The one that housed the camera?
Yeah, I wish I thought.
They're probably going to cut it off.
Yeah.
And the reason is that we raised a concern that when it's very, very close to the curbing that got put in.
Yeah.
And our concern was that when they pull it out, that it's gonna do something. So the thought was that they're gonna cut it off, either dig around, cut it off at ground level and fill the piece and leave it
Cut it
in.
off 6 inches.
Is what they were talking about doing,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
But Bruin's gonna do that?
Yes, yeah.
I think it's reasonable.
But I'll follow up and just make sure that's still the plan.
Yeah, the other thing I brought up was the lights. I just happened to notice it last night as I was driving through. The lights on the exterior of the old fire station are on. Not really an energy concern, they're LEDs, so it's, it's not costing us a lot of money, but my concern was that people are gonna think that station's still open that aren't necessarily aware. So, say we should talk about getting those shut down.
Is there a security concern if they don't have them?
Well, that was
That's
the other
what
thing we
I
talked
asked.
about, and, he was saying, you could leave a strip of lights on in the bay and lights on, light on in the building, just to kind of deter that.
Yeah. But if people may use it as parking, so off-street parking right now until.
Not really the intended use right now, and I don't think at night it's a concern.
I just thought of a question and I just lost it. So-
And I know it's not costing a lot of money, but it's still money that
Yeah,
we don't need to be spending, so.
Is the air conditioner turned off?
They don't-
Oh, yeah, those are all,
Those are all
there's no air conditioner, there's.
Those are portable.
All portable.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no-
units.
Okay.
And then, other than that, it'll just be a matter of preparing the building for sale.
So what happened with those units then?
Oh, I remember my question.
The air conditioner units, if they're portable?
That would be a question for Chief LaRoche.
Actually, I'll ask them if they're not gonna be using those, what happened, because the one we have here was growing. Had been being used in the kitchen, had been being used in the IT room prior to that, and no one checked inside. So it was bad. So we soaked it, cleaned it and everything, but it might be wise to switch to a different unit.
Yeah, check with him on that.
So my question, we've got money, I have to check with insurance company, but we have money to repair the front of the facade It's not gonna probably be enough, and I think it was only just under 5,000. We got the insurance check. I don't know if we don't repair it, I don't know what happens with that money, so I will check, but do we have intent to repair it?
If we're gonna lose the money, we should probably spend it.
Repair it. If we aren't gonna lose the money, we can figure out what to do
Yeah.
with it then, but, okay.
My other big concern with that is the plaque on the front of the building.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So I did speak with David Brown, who is Ken Brown's grandson, and it's not something he wants necessarily, but he will, like he said, he's like, I'd like to, when I'm in town, my daughter's in town, that, eventually when she has kids, she can bring them somewhere and say, hey, this was your great-great-grandfather. So whether that be somewhere in the new building or at the historical
Could
society.
be in the lobby of the new building or something like that.
Not so much the lobby because it's a separate entity, but I was thinking either the historical society, or the other thought I had was if the building were purchased, maybe we work something out with the purchase that if the exterior of the building is ever altered, that be returned to the town.
Yeah.
But my gut feeling is we should probably remove it.
Put it up to the old fire station.
Could you put it on a monument?
Well, so the fire company is working towards raising money for the improvement / renovation of the downstairs of the old fire station, to make it suitable for storage of Engine 1, which is the engine that the fire company purchased back from a gentleman in Wisconsin, as well as the hand tub that is currently stored in the new building, and to bring some of the historical there was a big case with all the historical stuff in it, like to move that up there.
Yeah.
And basically,
Isn't there sort of a little museum?
yeah, exactly.
Case.
So the intention, I think, long-term would be to get it as a part of that,
I mean, you could take if we had a nice picture of this 85, you could put it with the monument, and put
Right.
the picture of the building,
Yep.
so they know what that building
So,
looked
and
like.
I looked at it the other day, and it's kind of, there's like the inset can be easily removed. I don't know if the piece around it could be taken out. So the other issue we run into up there, we still have two private entities that are relying on the box system.
We have two town we're working to fix.
Yes, it
And
was
then
two,
two
so the two private have been given until the end of the month. Then we have the two town buildings, it's water and sewer and highway.
Highway, yeah.
There's an issue at water and sewer in that the location that the original fire alarm panel was installed is in the chemical room. And a good deal of that, when the fire alarm company came to put that on a cellular notifier, the panel's basically junk because of the corrosion that was caused from the environment that it's been in for the past 15 years. So we're gonna be looking at an expense to get that panel replaced, and most likely to be moved into the office area up there.
We've gotten a quote, I just have to wait for Ben to look it over.
So as of right now, that and the highway department are still being monitored on that system. Once those are taken care of, there are parts of that system that also need to be removed. Basically, that the intention is, again, to remove those as historical pieces that would go somewhere, particularly in the old, Ingrid's old office. There's a transmitter in there that is God.
It's
at
so
least-
cool.
It's gotta be 100 years old.
It is so
Yeah,
cool, but the
very-
ticker
Very
tape
cool
thing.
piece, there's the old brass bell, the recorder isn't, some of that was replaced, and then the Form 4 system in there is probably just gonna be, there's maybe some value to putting that out to bid, you know, along with some of the other things that come from that system, but largely those systems are going away, but the boxes in particular, where people will pay top dollar for as collector's items too, so.
All right.
Yeah, so pretty much it for that.
The only other thing under fire, just wanted to announce for the public, a condition that an
Yes.
offer has been put out for firefighter AEMT Spencer Burbank to join the Bristol Fire Department. Highway Department, just so you know, ice rink boards, they're gonna dispose of 5 at a time when they empty the C&D dumpster, because they can lay them in flat. Otherwise, they would fill the dumpsters and have to have them emptied, and they're afraid they won't get them back in time to be able to use when they're open. So it'll be about 4 to 6 weeks, but they plan on the liner, everything that had to do with the ice rink is going to go. Gray painting. When Mark was here, I just barely got a text from Carol at 8 o'clock saying he was trying to get into the meeting. I don't think his text came through.
Oh, okay.
So, when we talked with Mark, you'll see the picture I put in the TA report, those are the 2 areas, see those gray areas? We know we couldn't do the cobblestone, but Mark said that you could paint the gray. Victor is raising a concern that the paint will be more slippery, and it gets marked up and it doesn't even look gray after it's painted.
Just get rid of it.
Yeah, so that's what his question is, he doesn't wanna do the gray, I mean, I know why it was done because it was improving the downtown look, but the cobblestones were the whole thing with it.
That's why they're paying great to make it look like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and we're not doing, the state won't do the cobblestone effect, so
Yeah,
we
it's
just,
fine.
okay,
It's fine.
remove.
The trucks drive over it anyways.
Yeah.
Alright, town clerk tax collector's office, and just a reminder that there's an upcoming election on September 10th. I've got a meeting next week with Rama to review the election, what they need. I just wanted, I've emailed her and said, we just wanna talk about location, what you need from the town and departments, scheduling, and what kind of transportation, because I believe it's up here, the historic town hall. I've got the last closeout from the elections that we discussed. Is there anything that you want to address when I meet with her, because it's coming right up, September 10th.
Think of.
So transportation, I don't think it should be the water sewer truck, but I could look at a golf cart and man it, but I
Just
don't.
bring the side by side up here, if we need to give somebody a ride, we'll give somebody a ride.
Yeah.
Just make sure it gets, just have somebody wipe it down
Take the bucket out of the back or?
Yeah.
And, sorry, I cut you
I was
off.
gonna say, I mean, the fire department is empty.
I had that thought.
Why can't we just hold
Well-
one election there?
and I am not opening up
I
that.
don't want to open up that can of worms, yeah. That's why I didn't say anything.
Well, I meet with her, I think she said she had availability next Monday or Tuesday. I can just confirm, but I do believe that was the location right now being proposed, is Historic Town Hall, so. I don't know how big the September election will be. The November is going to be much bigger.
It's gonna be huge.
Yeah. Transfer station, so Chuck had intended to be here this evening, we were, but with his family emergency. In your packets under TA LRPC. LRPC is a grant program that Chuck and, the Sustainability Committee are recommending the town apply for. LRPC is applying for the grant to get, and they're going to move forward, but we can also participate, and it's called Composting and Food Waste Reduction Grant. The grant aims to assist local and municipal governments with reducing food waste in the stream. The proposed partnership would consist of a $5,000 match, which they estimate is about 150 hours of in-kind labor. So to provide outreach and education on the program, distribution of 50 composting units, we don't have to pay anything for, and data collection for the grant reporting. We have nothing but in-kind labor that would come out of our pockets.
Where would these 50 composting units
Yeah,
go?
let's-
Well, and I can't give you an exact location, but I did say, we do not have to have all 50 at once. We would get them from LRPC, so we might get 5 to 10, and then as we distribute those, we get 5 to 10
Distribute
more.
them to who and where?
To
So,
homeowners or
It will
to-
go out to people for free in the town that want to
Okay.
reduce the
I was gonna say,
the
who
food
takes care of
waste.
them
Yeah.
then?
So the
They do,
labor is
they-
for what?
What?
What's the labor?
It's just that, it's distributing them when somebody wants one, keeping track of who requests them, educating why we're doing it.
Yeah.
It's, Chuck was very excited about it, really, and the Sustainability Committee was very excited about it. There is an email in there, from them and some information about it.
Let's see if we get it and we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
I think we're almost guaranteed to get it, just so you know, but the reason I have to bring it up tonight is because the deadline is September before you meet again. So we just submit the application and then we can come back to you and let you know.
If somebody, if people want to participate in it.
One of my questions to Chuck was when we talked to them about educating, are these bins going to keep, my concern is educating the public where they put their bin for bears.
Well, yeah.
That was my biggest
Are they
concern,
bear-proof bins? That's
you
the other
know,
thing.
how we'd have to make
I
sure.
wouldn't want to have to keep my dogs out of it, never mind.
Right,
That-
so I don't know what they
Practical
look
for
like,
me.
that wasn't in here, but we can certainly submit the grant application. And if something doesn't, if it comes back, we can certainly deny it at that time. So, if you're okay with that. Town events, volunteer appreciation, the agenda has not changed, it's the same. The great news is we received donations for, additional donations as of today for food, hot dogs and hamburgers, for drinks, desserts, and gifts. Which gifts would be, we would raffle them, they would, gifts, so. Right now, we have approximately 45 people who have confirmed attendance.
And that's a week from this Friday.
Yep, it's Friday, August 23rd, and we're gonna probably have to start cooking around 4:30. And then, people will be arriving by 5. And they,
We'll have to do it differently, we'll individually wrap it, but how they, we'll have to get some foil sheets, so we can individually wrap the burgers, we'll cook them.
Carol's cooking, he wasn't here for the last one, so Carol.
And I can't make Friday, so.
You're not allowed.
you're not, I was gonna say, I thought Les was cooking this time.
Yeah, less
She
than
did,
less
no, she
and.
did say,
Did she?
so she called today and she said, oh my God, was I supposed to cook yesterday?
You should have said yes.
I said, no, you Scott
If you didn't
Romer.
mess with the temperature the whole time, it wouldn't have.
You two can't cook together, that's all.
So,
I will freely admit that if I'm cooking, it's me and that's it, and run food.
Usually too many cooks?
Yeah.
so
Too many
5,
cooks spoil stew.
That's right.
4:30 to 5 is arrival and check-in, 5 to 6:30, so select board remarks again, I thought that, and then we probably should talk, I'm gonna come back to you, oh no, I don't have time, shoot. I'll email something, I'm trying to come up, right now we have a gift for the recognition.
Yes.
And I didn't know if the gift was, if we should do something else in addition, so, I don't know if we can make
You
a
want like
plaque.
a spa day or something?
No, I could make a picture frame, but I just don't know what we would put in it. a picture frame thank you with the thank you in. So I'll think about it, but I'm running out of time. And then raffles, and then closing remarks, and we're done. Okay. We're still working on, don't forget, August 24th, the next day.
Is the fire department do the spaghetti supper that night? They usually do it on that
Friday night.
I didn't see it advertised in the Old Home Day schedule,
Not out either.
so that's a good
Is that the
question.
same night?
No, it's not on the Old Home Day schedule. We'll have to ask.
Maybe they decided not to do it with the change.
I don't,
They might not have done it because they were a public safety building and they weren't
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be doing the question is, we need to confirm they're still gonna do the open house on Saturday.
Both of them weekend.
yeah, I don't, I just texted Tyler, we'll see if he gets back to me. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So that's pretty much it for one
I,
more thing.
10 o'clock is, the Community Spirit Award presentation. I will talk to you after about who, so you know.
Yeah.
And at 10:30, we're doing something with the demonstration of Arrow, with the demonstration.
Who sponsors the Community Spirit Award again? Is that-
The Community Events Committee.
That's right, okay.
Okay. Lost my page. Under communications, there's a letter in there, Mark Casa, they sent another thank you. Originally they thanked you for, and submitted a bill, now they're sending.
No spaghetti supper.
Okay, good. Also, there's newsletters. I thought you'd find the New Hampshire Health Officers Association newsletter interesting. You're welcome to look at it. And then there's the usual energy newsletters. There's also a market update for Constellation has provided us a market update. Usually they give us projections of where the Constellation is our current provider, opposite of Eversource. They give us a discount on our electric rates. So they provide us market updates. There's also under Tri-County Community Action Program Annual Report, that's in your packet if you'd like to take a look at it. There's also a wetlands permit application. Applicant is proposing to install seasonal dock, concrete hinge pad, seasonal boat lift, and seasonal PWC lifts. Property is located at Arrowhead Point Road. Just so you know, Mooney Clark Landing, there are 2 public hearings scheduled. September 10th is the first meeting that'll be here at this building. They'll be discussing the process and how the public hearings will be handled. On September 24th is the public hearing, also at this building. And that's to transfer the maintenance easement of Mooney Clark Landing to the fishing game. Robeson Road, I've set up public hearings for the phase 1 part of it, September 5th and September 19th, the 2 meetings. And then originally we talked about the concerned resident on 2nd Street about moving them to September. September has a lot. We moved Technology Review Committee to September. We have starting a select budget.
Have you heard from them?
No, and so I hadn't contacted them yet. I don't know if we want to move them to October. The only question though is you have budget. So we do probably want to talk before snow,
Just get over it.
October or September.
Just get over it.
Okay.
Most of you guys,
I'll see what they can do, okay?
you guys agree with that?
Is there any update on the
Yes.
parsonage?
Yes. I'm going back and forth with the surveyor right now. We've gotten a draft survey. When I asked them to fix it back to now, show the 2 lots, because we were doing the unmerger, they said that they didn't believe that there were 2 lots. So I've provided the deeds that I have. In my research and my conversation with Brian Shedd, I believe there were 3 lots. And so I have to put them, to do the unmerger, we have to put them back to 3 lots, and then we'll have to, one is the entranceway is a third lot is what it looks like, and then we'll merge those two, but, I'm waiting for them to confirm that what I read on the deeds is correct, and fix that, so we can get the unmerger done and the deed written. Those are the last two things.
At this point, we're not gonna touch that building until spring.
This took forever. Part of it was because they had problems with the line, and now I'm like, but we wanna do the unmerger. Well, I'm being told they're not two lots. I'm like, yes, they are. They bought them at two different times. They have to be two lots.
There
So-
are two lots.
and what I read of the deeds, it's three. There's like this little rectangle, which is the road in. That I saw, got those into them, it'll be into them, and this week, and I hope that, I did send it actually today, sorry.
That's the surveyor.
Yeah, I've been going back and forth, and then Brian said, and I talked to Brian, and I both agree that we believe there are three lots, so.
Okay. All right, select board item, Scott.
Planning board met last night. It was a full house, very crowded. The biggest one was for the solar project. Just a condition of use permit and a special condition, correct, or no, special use. Special use and a conditional, two separate items.
Was it
Both were approved.
And
With
this,
a condition.
there are conditions technically on both, but,
Yeah.
I can't repeat them all, it's, most of it's to make sure the DES stipulations are followed, whatever DES stipulates is followed, and that we are given information, and if there are any drastic changes, they have to come back.
Okay.
Right. And they still have to do a site plan, so there's still one more step for them.
We approved the site plan for the new paint and sip. They were in last night.
Yeah, they did a running site plan. And they're only using half of, just so the rest of the board knows, they're only using half of the first floor, half of the retail. I don't
So
think.
the original then cross side?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, not the pub side.
No, yeah, so, I don't know if anything else has been planned yet, we haven't heard for the other side, but they have a nice setup.
And just food for thought that I wasn't aware of, like they're offering their space on off hours, right, for
So the-
organizations to use.
They're gonna be open, they're advertising, they're open like what, 8 AM to 10 PM. But whenever they don't have an event, other people can schedule an event through their
Yeah, so-
facility.
something that-
They will not be a full bar, they did announce that last night, they were serving beer and wine. Yep.
Yeah. And then, in discussion with Deb, discussing the beach, there was an incident where the PD had to be called. There was a couple that were paddleboarding within the swim lines. They were asked by the tenant to move along
Or to remove the paddle.
or to remove the paddleboards, and they blatantly disregarded the concerns. And then there's, somehow Marine Patrol was going by. I don't know if Marine Patrol showed up because of the call.
No,
They were going by, they might have been flagged down. They had a discussion with Marine Patrol.
Was it Avery Krause or Cummings?
Cummings.
And then, finally,
they came in.
after having a discussion with Marine Patrol, they still went back and paddleboarded some more, and they had to come on the loudspeaker and say, I am not telling you again.
Get your
Remove the
boards
boards from the swim
out of the
area,
swim line.
it's state law.
And then
So-
they waited because my understanding, I talked to Chris Bean, is that they wanted to talk to Tim Woodward,
Oh,
the police officer.
Tim showed up.
And so and then they left.
They specifically requested it?
No,
No.
Tim was on duty.
Okay,
so.
that's kind of strange.
But, so it was, yeah.
There was a concern about the interaction. What I've just found out is there was a concern about the interaction between them and the beach attendant, and they wanted to talk to the police about it. But then they moved on afterwards, so.
Other than that, I don't think I have anything else.
No?
My question was answered about the parsonage. So.
All right, I got a list.
Yeah, there was something we were talking about.
We can come back.
Oh, I know what it was, when we were talking about the warrants. I'm not sure if there's gonna be time or not. It's a project I was working on before, and it came up when I was talking to Lindsay about CIP related stuff. There's a number of capital funds that we have. Now, a bunch of them are memorial funds for cemeteries, things like that. There's like 4 different Kelly Park ones, and there's a bunch of library ones. And I was trying at one time to sort of get them consolidated, because a lot of them were just sitting there doing nothing. It's sort of crazy. So I'll work on that some more. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get a suggested warrant together for or not, but if the board would entertain that later when we're talking about warrants.
Okay.
Side project.
Gotcha, all right. First thing, we talked about the church. Bob Peeler from Alexandria Select Board approached me the other day. They are talking about utilizing some of the space, I think, kind of behind their town hall, potentially to do like an ice rink and also like a cross-country ski loop back there. And he kind of approached me to ask if it's something this board would be willing to discuss with them, where, you know, potentially from a financial standpoint or contribution standpoint towards that. And I told him I'd, you know, bring it to the board and that we'd probably be interested in hearing further on it, simply because we had the discussion earlier this year about the group being interested in
the ice rink.
The ice rink.
the ice rink here.
There
So
is, yeah.
I thought this might be a good opportunity for us to, you know, not necessarily pursue, but at least investigate working with another town. And
Can I share that, are you okay with if I share that information with Wayne Hemingway?
absolutely, yep. So, and I talked to Bob a little about that as well. So I think it could be a good project that, you know, if they're looking for a significant investment or anything, but, you know, it could be a good opportunity for us to work with one of our neighboring towns, so.
Those guys are easy to work with.
Exactly.
They are.
Yeah.
They worked out well with the cardboard with them.
I did have, I just pulled out this list because when you mentioned Alexandria Select Board, we wanted to talk about cooperation agreements, what we can do for each other. We were gonna ask them to come September.
Yeah.
So do we wanna reach out and ask them to come to one of the September meetings?
Sure.
That works for me.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they're always eager to work with us, so.
Yep.
Next, I had crosswalks. We have any update from the state on that?
They're out there now doing, so they are out there marking,
That's Continental.
that's who's doing it.
Oh, so they're doing the striping and
So
everything?
they're doing all of the striping and the crosswalks is my understanding.
Okay,
And they're doing the,
yeah.
so they've been working on catch basins and
I
stuff
saw
all
that,
the way
they're
up
raising,
through.
yeah.
I can reach out to Carter, I think his last name was Bennett. He's the state person and
Yeah.
just see if they're doing it all, but I thought that so we have to do crosswalks, but we were waiting until theirs were in. So I'll double check that all of ours are done.
Gotcha.
And then and then find out if Continental is
I think
doing the
ours are,
crosswalks.
yeah.
Yeah.
Fish and Game, Officer Town contacted me last week. Why are you smirking at me? So, long story short, what's going on is there's renovations being done down at the hatchery in New Hampton. And there's a building that was available for them to use to store things. His particular concern is with the airboat. basically is looking for somewhere to store it. He had initially come to me and said, you know, or the Chief Bean had actually reached out to me initially. He texted me while I was on vacation and said, hey, he's looking for a place to store it, and, you know, and mentioned the old fire station, like until it sells or something. But it sounds like he's looking for a more permanent solution. This is definitely something that would, I haven't brought this up to Chief LaRoche yet. I've been meaning to catch him in passing to talk to him about it. I don't believe there is room at the new building. It would be nice to have it there because it is the only access to the lake when the lake is partially frozen. So it'd be nice to have it readily available. But
Was it hovercraft type?
yeah,
Okay.
it's a fan, it's like a gator boat.
Yeah, okay.
But, you know, it's not like it could be used in cooperation with this. It's not like we could use it. It was
No,
strictly
it's
for their
strictly
use. So I don't, you know, I don't know what the timeline is on the building. We haven't even, we kind of have to be out of it before we can have that conversation. So, but I just did want to bring it up just to see if you guys had any thoughts on it or anything.
Are they building, so they're renovating, are they losing the whole building?
They're losing the
And
space.
they're not redoing?
Right.
Why would,
It's a state. That's why.
Yeah,
So,
they're doing major
yeah.
renovation down there.
So, you know, the question was, you know, could there be some kind of, you know, MOU or something or whatever, but I think, you know, I would be, if I knew we were gonna have the building over the winter and, or could say, yeah, you can leave it in there until, but you know, once the building's gone, I don't know where you're gonna put it, you know, and
And they pay for the heat, electricity.
that's the thing. So if we get to the point where that building sits over the winter, you know, what are we gonna do with it? Are we gonna continue to heat it? Are we gonna,
Factory it.
are we gonna winterize it?
where do we normally put our boat?
It's in
in the
well, there's two.
building.
Yeah.
So there's a Zodiac that's
that's-
always stored inside
That's in the new
and then
one.
the other one gets wrapped and it's been stored everywhere from,
It was down at the
the
transfer
transfer
station.
station it's been stored up at the, Bristol Shores to Jamie Moulton's backyard to, you know. So that's not available for use once it's winterized.
Right, but,
The airboat would be. So, you know, I don't have a problem with them sticking it in there for the time being, but the time being, may only be a couple months, so.
Because you don't know if you'll sell it, or how quickly it will sell, so.
Right, so if it's sitting there for 2 years, then sure, have at it, but. So anyway.
You should talk to Mark McDonough. Get storage.
Yeah, right, I wouldn't, think it's too high, I think it's too high,
big unit.
yeah,
Oh, is it?
yeah.
Well, it's gotta be low enough for, because they go into bridges.
Yeah,
But it's storage unit, it won't fit. in
But the
storage.
fan is sitting on the trailer.
Yeah, it's, yeah,
I've
it's
seen
set up
it.
on a trailer.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen it, so.
Next thing I want to bring up is Wellington. I don't know how much feedback you've had from Chris as far as their responses up there. And
I haven't had a lot.
we've had some paid details up there, but I saw a post on Facebook the other day that was kind of concerning about, you know, basically local people saying that they don't feel safe going there on weekends and that the staff they have on hand can't control the crowds that are there. And, you know, basically,
I saw that, you're talking about the music and the staff members said they were too intimidated to
Yes.
approach larger groups.
so
I did see that,
it's a
yeah.
little concerning. I understand it's a state park, but it's also in the town that people feel unsafe going somewhere. You know, does that mean, I mean, I think there needs to be, a conversation needs to be had with the state. You know, and we don't have the bandwidth with our PD to have somebody up there
fishing game is really the reason that there's no fishing game officer, but.
Right, and that's a whole other
That's
issue.
separate.
That's a separate issue, but, so it's dread that,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so
So-
this is the beach itself.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
fishing
No, it would be a
game,
not
state
the
park.
program.
It'd be a state park.
I did have a conversation with Josiah about that. They are going in and ticketing people that are blocking access. He said he ticketed, and it was one day he was up there, ticketed up to 20 vehicles. Yeah.
But they're not there.
But
as
they're
a
not able
staged
to have a
officer.
presence there because, so the officers that were there, I believe were there on overtime previously.
Yes, I think so. They were
So
signed up
it's-
for it, yep.
Yeah. So that, I mean, that's a whole separate issue. I don't, yeah, I've heard the horror stories, but,
Yeah.
yeah, unfortunately up there, it's kind of always gonna be horror stories because it's the only access to the lake, so. But
It's
I guess,
also the most popular state park in the state.
right, between that and Delacoya, yeah.
But that's a state issue for
Yeah.
policing it.
So, yes, I don't know, what are your, do we contact Brad directly and
I would-
express our concerns?
I would think we would contact Dred and see if they, I mean, I guess I could approach it as,
Yeah.
are you receiving a lot of complaints? We're
Yeah.
starting to field some of the concerns.
Or do we have our PD look into it?
I think, I do believe that our PD has addressed, but I think it was more for fishing game, so I can follow up with Chris
Yeah,
and see who he's contacted, because we do have a detail out there. Obviously, the details had to deal with some things there,
yeah,
so I can follow up with Chris.
yeah.
Oops, I wrote follow up, but it didn't look like that. Because I think when I talked to Josiah, he said that he thought Chris had reached out to Fish and Game, but I think he also thought they'd reached out because of the details, so,
Yeah.
yeah. So let me find out what he's done first, so.
But there again, you have to go to state parks, not fish
What?
and game.
No, I
Are they
think.
talking about the beach area, or are they
The
talking about?
so the details there's two different things. We
Yeah,
don't
I
have
was gonna say.
we don't have a detail to cover the boat ramp, that's separate.
Right,
We have a
yeah.
detail to cover the park.
Okay, but the boat ramp is fish and game.
Yes,
The
so
park
he's-
is state parks, it's a separate division.
Correct,
right?
but he's reached out to both, is my
Oh, okay,
understanding,
okay.
yeah. So, because they're doing the details, I think he's reached out about concerns there, and then he's also reached out about no fish and game
It
coverage.
sounds like a big part of the problem, that there's large groups congregating,
Yeah,
and these large groups are just doing their own thing, and,
I saw it 2 years ago,
trying to be,
last year, yeah.
yeah, help us,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
yeah.
I think the best way to describe it is that there's some cultural differences.
yeah, no, I understand the problem,
Yeah.
but there again, state parks,
Right.
since you have to have reservations, they can start
Yeah.
controlling that with the size of reservations.
You know,
things
one of the
like that.
main, Christina saw the same complaint about the music and radios.
Yeah,
And then when the park attendant was asked to address it,
It's the easy answer to that is you just, the state parks didn't used to allow
yeah,
them. But who's gonna enforce that, so,
yeah.
But I guess what bothered me about it was seeing, local people saying that they didn't feel safe going there.
Yeah.
And that the attendants didn't feel safe. That's concerning to me, so.
Yeah, I wonder.
And not to mention the mess they're making is really the state's problem, not ours, but it's just disappointing
Yeah,
to hear about, so.
I would think that Alexandria would have issues too, since that's really their beach, you know, that you can get past.
I have seen issues where they can't get the towns can't
Towns
get reservations.
in there,
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that was a whole other thing, which, doesn't fall in our purview, but.
Next time I see anybody, the guys from Alexandria, I'll talk to them.
Yeah.
I see Bob on a regular basis.
Yeah. So that's all I have on my list. Any public comment?
Okay.
Okay, Kate's gotten, we hope, the Bristol, we finally were
Oh, yeah, the
able,
Bristol,
the,
See the email I sent you
no,
an
yes,
hour ago?
no, I was down here.
Not there yet.
We're not there yet, okay.
Oh, the only other thing I
We're
wanna
still
mention-
working on, just so you know, the business site.
Gotcha.
We were able to purchase the URLs that we need to fix it and transfer and get it back up and running, but we're still working on it. We're almost there.
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend, but it looks like, it looked like when I went by and I heard, the Hazel's Market that was down at Wells
Oh, yeah.
Field on Sunday, it looks like it had a great turnout, so.
Usually it does, they do a great job
Yep.
with that Hazel's
So, just
Foundation.
wanna-
So.
Mention that.
I do want to just say thank you to staff and also thank you to the public for your understanding. We had a very good employee mandatory training yesterday and did close all of the non-emergency buildings from 10:30 to 4. It was very well, the employees were trained and we also fed them, so. And thank you to the board for cooking.
Anytime.
It's not all together.
Right. So, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Don to adjourn, second by Scott, all those in favor?
Right.
At what time? 8:40 PM.
2 to 1.